All right, we're going to be talking about the state of the AFC East. So, as a disclaimer, if you're not a Dolphins fan watching this, I've been a lifelong hardcore Dolphins fan for a very, very long time. So you can take everything I say with a grain of salt. It is what it is. But so obviously, the events of Thursday night's game really shook up the AFC East. And I know it's only week one, and I hate when people exaggerate the fact it's week one. Obviously, I still don't think week one doesn't matter to me. It's sort of like a preseason. Obviously, you're trying to get acclimated back to the NFL game. You're not going to be at your best. You're not in midseason form at any of the teams you see in week one. That's not going to be their best team. That is not truly who they are. You got to wait till like week 8 maybe, and then you get it. All right, so that's their team. That's the best that they can be. So, overreacting to the Patriots losing to the Chiefs week one. Now, granted, that was in Gillette Stadium. That's a big deal, obviously. And the Chiefs haven't won in Gillette Stadium. It was like, I can't remember the last time they won in Gillette Stadium. It was a very, very long time ago. So it was a big deal. I'm not saying it wasn't a big deal, but I think everybody needs to just calm down. It's week one. And so we're going to talk about some of the things that I saw in Thursday night's game. One of the things I think that the Patriots are going to struggle with for the entire season is the receiver core depth. A receiver core consisting of Brandin Cooks, Chris Hogan, and Danny Amendola, I don't think is a very good one. And I think the loss of Julian Edelman hurts them, more than people give it. Like, I haven't heard one person intelligently talk about that Julian Edelman injury, especially on national TV, or anywhere, ESPN, anywhere. They always this is what they say. They hear Julian Edelman gets hurt, and they're like, "Listen, it's the next man up mentality and all this other trash. I don't care who you're not going to get a better player than Julian Edelman. He's the second best slot receiver in the league, in my opinion. Obviously, slot receivers in that crap in offense is so very important because of the quick pass game, the amount of crossing routes that they run. You got to be quick. You got to be a great route runner. In that offense, especially when people play man defense on him, because Brady, obviously, he loves when you play zone and you give him a ton of time to read the field. That's not going to work. You have to play man. You have to have a good man defense. You got to have a good pass rush to even, to compete with them on the offensive side. So Julian Edelman brings he's a matchup nightmare. So replacing that with Danny Amendola it's nowhere near the same. And Julian is an all-pro caliber slot receiver. I think he's the second best to Juice Landry in the league. And when you look at the numbers, that's exactly what it is. Obviously, he's just behind Jarvis in yards. And he's a great player. So losing a great player and replacing him with Danny Amendola, and people say, well, they went to the Super Bowl without Gronk and won it. Yeah, but they still had Martellus Bennett, who was an all-pro tight end himself. So it's not like they lost all that much. If they had another all-pro receiver replacing Julian Edelman in the slot, then I'd be like, okay, that's totally different. That is 100% different than the situation that they find themselves in now. And I think you saw that on Thursday night. They missed Julian Edelman. And obviously this is week one. If they figure some things out, there you go. But when you look at the receiver core, not just from a talent perspective, but from a depth perspective, first of all, Danny Amendola, his entire career, he's been very injury prone, and he suffered a concussion last night. Not only that, but they just put their second-year player out of Georgia, Mike Mitchell, on IR. So the depth of the receiver position is very poor right now. And you saw that on Thursday night. Now, Brandin Cooks, he's an outside receiver. He's a very good one at that. Obviously, he's been a very dominant one. 1,000 yards, I think, twice in his career, maybe 3 times. And so he's been a great receiver in New Orleans, and he comes over. Brandin Cooks, very good receiver. You're good there. Chris Hogan last year, I think he led the league in yards per reception with like 17 yards or something crazy like that. He had his best year by far. He had a great playoff run. We'll see if he can keep that up with 2 back-to-back years like that. Because Brandon obviously has proved, yeah, I can be consistent. I'm a perennial great player. But Chris broke out last year. He had some good years with Buffalo, but that by far was his best season. We'll see if he can keep that up. And he could still do that. But then obviously Danny suffered a concussion on Thursday, so that's gonna hurt. And they don't have Mike Mitchell, so that really their receiver core is very, very, very depleted right now. And even when they get everybody back, losing Edelman, that's a lot to lose. So that's going to affect that team. And so that's one thing that I saw is like, and I already knew that was gonna happen. Like, not to sound all knowing or whatever, like a know-it-all or anything like that, but it's pretty obvious when you lose Julian Edelman, it's not going to be the same. So yeah, Danny Amendola is just not he's not the athlete that Edelman is. People forget how good of an athlete Edelman is. He's just not the player that Edelman is. So they lost him there, and you saw that on Thursday night. It's gonna be interesting to see how healthy that receiver core can stay, because they're counting a lot on Amendola out of the slot. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, because if he misses more games, I mean, the man barely can play. Throughout his career, like I said, he's just been injury prone and he suffered concussion. We'll see what happens there, but their depth there, if they suffer any more injuries, it's going to get even worse. I don't think this receiver core is that good. I love when people compare this receiver core to the 2008 team. When you have Randy Moss on it, that basically trumps everything else. Now, do they have a better overall offense? I don't know. That's a very tough one to answer. Some other things that I saw, and this is more of a nitpick thing than anything. Short yardage situations on their offense. If that was LeGarrette Blount in there, that's all day. Obviously, he's one of the better power backs in the league. Having Mike Gillislee, they don't have a lot of good short yardage backs. Mike Gillislee, he's a good short yardage back. I'm not gonna, he was great on the goal line. I'm not taking anything away from him, but I think they lose a little bit there with LeGarrette Blount. Some of the things I saw. Mike's not the guy who's going to wear your defense down in the fourth quarter and then he can close out a game. He has yet to prove that. Obviously, he was really, 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 really good running. Not a really, really good. He was a good running back in Buffalo for his years down there. So we'll see there. I think some of the short yardage situations they usually that are all day for that Patriots offense really struggled, and I think they're a less physical team without Blount in terms of just pounding, punishing running backs, not their offensive line, but just their running backs in general. And the number one thing that I saw that was very interesting is their front seven and their linebacker depth. If you think about it, with Kyle Van Noy, David Harris, who's an old man in a rocking chair at this point, and he's more of again. I thought they were going to use him. He's taken more snaps than I thought he would, which is weird. And then Dante Hightower. Obviously, he suffered a knee injury, but he looks to be fine. He's had knee injuries in the past. He's had injuries in the past in general, but he looks to be fine. But I thought that front seven, with the talent on it, they don't have a lot of pass rushers on it. They're very good in the middle of the field. They're very, very big and physical in the middle of their D-line, but they don't have a lot of guys that can get after the passer. You saw that, and especially when Hightower went out, they don't have a lot of guys who are physical enough to really set the edge at a great level. Obviously, Ninkovich was great for that for many years in New England. He set the edge really, really well. Obviously, Hightower is probably the best linebacker in the NFL at setting the edge. The man has made two insane plays that people really don't think about all that much in Super Bowls. So he's a great player. But losing him, and even when he was in the game, the Chiefs really were able to run the football on him, and especially when he went out, they attacked the edges a lot. Obviously, most of their big runs were tosses, and nobody was really setting the edge. Travis Kelce was just flying people around. He's getting great blocks on the edge. So they didn't. That's one thing I noticed is they really don't have anybody to set the edge, especially when Hightower's not out there. They really don't have anybody to do that, and I think that's going to be interesting to see how that front seven really Trey Flowers is a good player, but I don't think he's I don't know. I don't want to hate too much, but he's not the most dominant pass rusher in the world. But they don't have a lot of pass rushers. Is my point on that front seven either. So something to keep your eye on is that New England Patriots front seven. If they find somebody who can set the edge, because that's very important. Obviously, Bill, you hear that a ton of times with Bill. Matt Patricia is setting the edge is obviously very, very important in the NFL. And they don't really have anybody that can do that right now. And it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. So those are just some things I saw. That I don't know. Very interesting things. We'll see how it pans out. It's week 1. But I think I think the thing that probably won't change is that front seven. I could see the offense getting in a groove, really finding how to replace Blount, wear down some, because the running game was so important. Like, obviously, LeGarrette led the league in touchdowns, and Mike, I think, had three rushing touchdowns, so they love to run the football. And we'll see. We'll see what goes on. I'm not going to make any assumptions too fast, but those are just some of the things I noticed. I think the front seven thing, though, is the most concerning for them, because they really could not set the edge, and Kareem Hunt ate all day long off those tosses. They really rarely ran it up the middle. And when they did, they had some success. But most of the more successful plays were off the edge there. So those are just some things I noticed. Let me know what you guys think about that. All right, so obviously, just to point out some other things that happened in Thursday night's game. If you don't know, Mike Mitchell is on IR, so he's going to be out for a while there. The Patriots are going to work out Marquise Wilson, the former Chicago Bear receiver. So again, they're really hurting at depth there at the receiver position, and that was pretty prevalent there on Thursday night. All right, so I guess we'll move on from the Patriots there. All right, let's move on to the Jets-Bills matchup, which is going to be really fun to watch. I think it's a 1:00 game. I think that's the 1:00 game that I'm going to watch. I really want to see. I'm very interested to see where the Bills are in terms of how their offense is going to be ran. I talked about this when obviously the exodus of the Buffalo Bills coaching staff, like Tyrod Taylor's, most of his success was that offense, because they were the number one rushing team in the NFL. And that's not just because it was Shady, but it was because of Tyrod. It was because of Mike. They ran a lot of pistol, a lot of triple option plays. Very hard to stop Tyrod Taylor with the talent that they had, with Shady McCoy in that offensive line, Richie Incognito pulling, and all that other stuff. Very interesting to see if Sean McDermott still has that some of that stuff to utilize Tyrod's strengths, because Tyrod is not a good pocket passer, and his timing is very bad. And those are just some, Tyrod's obviously a solid quarterback. And obviously Nathan Peterman had a great preseason. So, and Tyrod was just cleared for the out of the concussion protocol. Just gonna be interesting to see how that plays out throughout the year. Do they stick with Tyrod? Does Nathan Peterman? This is just some things for to watch here. Do they stick with Tyrod? Do they go with Nathan Peterman at some point this year? I think it's very highly likely, and I just want to see what Sean's offense is. If they keep some of the, I don't think, from what we saw in preseason, obviously it's very vanilla stuff. It's not, most of the things you see in preseason you're not going to see in the regular season at all. So I'm not going to judge anything there, but you saw a lot of under center stuff, and not a lot of pistol stuff. I don't know. We'll see. That's going to be interesting to keep your eyes on. Obviously, the Jets, really nothing, other than, they're obviously trying to lose, and the Bills are trying to rebuild as well. So this game is going to be fun to watch. Overall, it's going to be really, really fun to watch. I'm most interested in the Bills quarterback situation, though. I don't think Tyrod Taylor makes it out of the season being still a Bill. There's so many rumors that he's going to be, I know he ain't going to be a Bill after this year. I can tell you that right now. So there's we'll see. But yeah, that's gonna be a very, very fun game to watch. Very, 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 very fun. Very interesting stuff. Let me know what you guys think about all of these things. Who do you got in the Bills and Jets game? To elaborate more on the Jets. Some things to watch is how their receiver war plays. Jermaine Kearse, they obviously got in that trade for Sheldon Richardson. Interesting to see what he does in this offense without Russell Wilson. And most of the big plays not to hate on Jermaine Kearse, but most of the big plays Jermaine Kearse had were just beautiful throws by Russell Wilson. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays with poor quarterback play and Josh McCown. And obviously the overall young receiver with, record with Robbie Anderson, who's going to be a future guy. And then the kid out of Cal, I can't remember his name right now. Oh, man. It'd be interesting to see what goes on there. Obviously, the Jets' offensive line is in question. It's going to be interesting to see what the Bills switching back to a 4-3, what they could do against that offensive line. With Jerry Hughes is a great 4-3 defensive end, so he's going back to his more natural position. It's going to be interesting to see if that Jets, they're going to struggle all year. And it's going to be, I think it's probably where the game's going to be won or lost there. And both receiver cores for still with the Bills was Zay Jones, too, as well. And Jordan Matthews, obviously, he's making his debut as a Bill. So that's going to be very, very interesting to watch and see how they connect with Tyrod Taylor as well. So there's a lot to especially we play the Jets really soon, obviously, after the Chargers. Going to be interesting to see if just how that offense looks. A ton of young talent at the receiver position. Going to be interesting to see how they pan out with Josh McCown as their starter. See if they struggle or not. And yeah, a lot of interesting storylines there. We don't play the Bills till the end of the year, so Nathan Peterman might be their starting quarterback. And the Bills have been very, very trade happy, so I wouldn't be surprised if Tyrod Taylor was traded at any point this season, especially to the Jaguars. That's been rumored for a while. Apparently, there's a report from Pro Football Rumors that Tyrod Taylor's agent has contacted other quarterback needy teams, so I don't think Tyrod Taylor's going to be a Bill for much longer. Yeah, so let me know what you guys think about the AFC East. I cannot wait to watch this Bills-Jets game. It makes me excited. I just want to see some of those things that I brought up, see how they look, especially how they run that offense with Tyrod Taylor. If they run a lot of under center stuff, a lot of just basic pro style offense kind of thing, I think Tyrod's going to struggle. So yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. And that has been the state of the AFC. It's not a ton to talk about, but still stuff to talk about. I want to hear all of you guys' opinions on the Patriots game especially. And I'm Skags for Trinity 3, and I'll see you guys in the next one.